Because I told you, we on. I told you stats are for losers.
I understand, I don't have any stats for you today.
Pissed off at you.
Well, the only reason I actually started that is because I heard you say it a couple of years ago, so I wanted to remind you.
You know that started so long ago. You know where it started from. We would get on the bus, everybody keeps David Basleys of the world, I'll hand you a stat packet. And you never want it when you win. You say, hey man, get out of here, stats for losers. But you study that thing so much when you lose, just what happened, what was the details of everything. But it started a long time ago.
Island, Queens, and New Jersey.
I know. I mean, no, really? He's from Long Island? You heard that guy talk? Yeah, I knew it, Coach. Yeah. I almost asked you to stop at the deli before you came down.
I've trained myself to get rid of those.
Bring back some bagels.
There you go. Flat's mom brought some bagels to us up in Philly.
Really?
She came down and brought us some bagel sandwiches. It was awesome.
I wouldn't need a bagel down here if you paid for it. Or a slice of pizza for that.
That's they got one in the city, pretty good, New York style.
Little Vinny's a bit.
Yeah, they got some pretty good ones.
All right.
All right, Led, go ahead. Get with the hard stuff.
Coach Dan says hello, and they're still doing interviews in the locker room. And
Dan who?
Quinn.
Oh, Quinny.
Up there.
They still doing decent? They're going against the protocol of the players.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not. But anyway, Coach Dan says hello.
We're still doing interviews.
Yeah, but you're kicking people out of the locker room.
Well, just privacy.
No, it's not. No, if it's privacy, then they wouldn't do it in the locker room. If it's privacy, then you can go outside. But it's an option. But
What?
to make everybody go outside is getting kicked out the locker room.
No, it's a privacy. You're in the locker
But that's
room, and if you
okay.
want to talk to them, you go outside the locker room.
It'll work itself out. I'm not interviewing anybody outside.
You're not?
Because there's no privacy issue. I just got a couple questions, and if you feel like you can't answer my questions, then you won't be in the AJC.
I'm confused.
Yeah, don't worry about it. But they have interviews in the locker room. Interview Mariota,
Yeah?
Amadeus, Zacchaeus,
That's my guy, OZ.
OZ, and...
Well, you're not interviewing in the locker room. If you want to interview our guys, you go outside the locker room. That's what they asked you to
I
do.
don't care where they interview.
You brought it up. You can't say you don't care.
Answer my question. Anyway, okay, let's get to business here.
They gotta-
I have the Bergeron, Nigel, and Smith Williams came back.
Yes.
Uh,
Bergeron did not come back yesterday.
Smith Williams.
James Smith Williams came back.
Williams and Nigel came back.
Jane-
Bergeron out.
Yeah, Bergeron was out. James Smith did not come back in the game yesterday. Only, I said Nigel. Only Newsel came back in. I followed your lead there.
Okay. The game report has him.
Newsel came back in, and Berge did not come out. Did Jester come back in the game?
Okay.
Yeah.
So he came back in the game, but yeah, they've all got the injuries from yesterday. Obviously, I think everybody's going to be okay. We'll get some more clarity on it today. Obviously we got some nicks and bruises from a typical NFL football game, but they were significant to lay down the field, go out there and see those guys, get most of them back in. Burge was the guy that cleared concussion protocol, and then because obviously he had the neck injury type of deal, and that's kind of a part of the new protocol if you get it hurt. Just like new protocols happen everywhere, like the media not beating in the locker room. They got protocols on concussions too. That's brand new that we got to get OLED caught up to.
Those are actually 30-year-old protocols. By the way, what about Troy Anderson's situation? It's been,
Troy is going to practice. I'm sorry to cut you. I'm sorry, Led. Troy's going to practice for us on Wednesday. We'll get him out there, get him moving around a little bit and see where he is, But, obviously Troy is a Ferrari, so to speak, and Troy's game is based off of being able to move fast and vicious and speed. And what makes Troy special, scoring touchdowns for us, is his ability to run and be as healthy as possible.
Said yesterday he came out.
one more. Sorry, Coach.
I'll be over there in a minute.
Lorenzo just went to IR for. It was the concussion and then IR. What was the decision there on that?
That's listening to your doctors.
Okay.
Came in and obviously it wasn't great, and he went through the protocol and all the stuff that he's going through. And I don't know all the technical terms, Led, to be quite honest with you. That'd be more of probably a lot more educated man than me telling you what that is. But the recommendation was to shut it down for a little bit, and I'm going to do whatever's best for our guys in order to protect them from a health and safety standpoint, particularly when you care about these guys the way I do.
You said yesterday after the game you guys came out flat and you needed a chance to look at it. You diagnose what that looks like on film. What did you see?
Just what you thought when you're out there. You never want to question like some of the execution, some of the things that you've been getting done. and how you want to get it done in the fashion you want to get it done the right way. And when you come out and it's not just crisp and the way you wanted to get done, it just doesn't feel as good, you know. And then you felt like you got right back in it and you were right there up until that point where they got that sack fumble touchdown. Really set the game off to really make it feel out of whack. But really up until that point, it was flat. We got a chance to catch on to it and get things rolling for us a little bit. Big play at the end of the half, the one you don't want to have happen. The big run, the one you don't want to have happen. And then the big sack fumble was the huge one that kind of got the thing way out of whack where we couldn't kind of get back to the game we wanted to play.
I mean, is that as simple as you just need a guy to make a play to change the momentum, get everybody alive again?
I mean, we almost had that play. We had that play almost in a couple of different areas. You know, I just talked to, I don't know, I just got finished doing a media tour, so I can't remember if I told you guys about it. But, you know, you talk about the potential of the 3rd and 8 when we get the hands to the face in the penalty, which just crushes you. You talk about the 3rd and 5 and the man coverage when you get you trip into the guy, you hit the quarterback below the knees, and that's a penalty, and that keeps him on the field. You know, on defense, you talk about those are 2 times you're off the field right there and allows them to continue drives. Now, I know we got off of one of them, but still, that's time, that's possessions, that's how we play our football game. That takes touches out of Bijan or Tyler's hands. That takes possession out of Kirk Cousins' hands. You know, all those things. You know, we miss a big play early in that game, which potentially is a touchdown for us when we're just going and we're executing the right way and you're not flat and you don't come out that way. A lot of those things. You know, like you just said, you just want somebody to make a play. You know, sometimes it's multiple people making it. You know, you generally give one person credit because they usually catch a touchdown. It's just the execution up front, the execution up back end, you know, whatever the case may be, from a tackle standpoint, whatever it is.
Yeah, 4 false start penalties at home.
Killer.
Okay. I mean, what do coaches say to these guys?
That is,
you can't do it.
That's absolutely a killer right there. You know, like those are, so if you just go like to the start the games, another version of starting flat, you open the game, 2nd down and 10, you get a pass interference call. You know, whether you like it or not on the sideline, that takes away a 3rd down and 10 that you potentially have. That continues a drive, right, to give them 3. You get the ball back on offense, and you're moving the ball, you're running the ball well, you're doing some good things, and you get a false start, right? You get 2 of them in that first drive. That kills that drive, make you punt, whatever the case may be. All of those things right there are the part of starting flat, and those are all things that kill you, and those are all things that really affected us this game. 9 penalties for 72 yards was the main focus of today. That was the main focus of corrections for us. You know, besides the obvious things that have happened, within the things that you are willing to correct when it comes to football plays, those are the things that can't happen. Those are the things that we got to clean up. Those are the things that are just unacceptable.
Raheem, short of saying, hey, we can't do that, you know, we can't have 9 penalties. Obviously, there's different circumstances that are attached to each one. It looks like on the first one on Jake, it looks like Kirk gets into his count and then stops the count. And
Yes.
Jake's expecting to get out of his stance, and all of a sudden, so that was on Kirk to a certain extent.
I hate to blame Kirk.
No, I understand.
You know, Kirk right now is somewhere beating himself up and blaming himself.
I get it.
Because if you let Kirk get up here and have this press conference, he would tell you that, right? He's stopping the play. He's resetting something, whether it's protection, whether it's a play, whatever the case may be, and it sounded like his cadence. And that's what happened with Jake. So no different than when we're alerting something to Kyle and he leans a little bit too much trying to hold it. But, you know, you hate to blame Kirk for that. That's a part of our execution. That's a part of what we do. And when is that got to happen? It's got to happen when we're in practice. It's got to happen when we're in walkthrough. It's got to happen when we're doing it every single day. And those details got to carry over to the football game. And they did not for whatever reason. Now, you know, Kurt is a stand-up guy, and he's always going to blame himself. But so is Jake. So is Kyle. So is all those guys. You know, so is Judon. Whether you say that guy moved or not, we got to move with the ball. And they called us for the offsides. And, like, all of those things happen. So, like, it's just like it doesn't matter, right, whether they're right or they're wrong. It's about us cutting that thing down, mitigating penalties as much as possible.
That's that attention to detail that you're talking about.
100%.
Contributed to the flatness, if you will, that caused some of the problem.
It's tough to come out with Bijan. I don't know what his average per yard was a carry yesterday, but when you go back, Will's looking it up. But when you go back and he's knocking them off in a clip like that, and he's having that kind of production, it's tough when you take away a carry from Bijan when you get a false start. When those things happen, when you knock him out of that spot and you put yourself in a different spot to get back on track or whatever the case may be. But that's football, right?
Yeah.
Life is such.
Raheem, you mentioned the kind of the touchdown right before the half.
Yes.
What did you see on that play going back reviewing it?
Well, it was 10 seconds left, and we got the intentional ground right before that. Left 10 seconds for those guys. They had the timeout for those guys, luckily, so they don't get the 10-second runoff. They got 10 more seconds, and now what you're talking about, defending the out-of-bounds line to not let them get a field goal closer and you're talking about defending the touchdown, the end zone, and we called our defense to do both. And we made a critical mistake on the back end, and that cannot happen. Now, with all that being said, I don't want to take away from the greatness of DK Metcalf, right? He made a great move as well. He crossed us up. He made a great play. He crossed our safety's face and made that play, and kudos to him. But at the same time, we can't let those things happen. We got to execute better than those guys in that moment.
I know that you've said, you feel like the pressure is ticking upwards, and yesterday, 50% pressure rate, that probably you would take that, but some of do you feel like the cleanup sacks are kind of where they should be, and have you identified, you're generating pressure, but the quarterback's not going to the ground. Is that a tandem rushing thing? Is there anything to that?
Yeah, well, you got to finish the plays off, right? You can get back there. The intentional grounding, you want that to be a sack. The one they fumble, that's not counted a sack. When Root actually, I don't know how that's done, but Root gets him down, and you got JSW finishing off a sack yesterday, right? And you want to have more, and we got to play individually better, but we are rushing as a group better. Like the hurries, the pressures, the things of that nature, they're going up. They're on an uptick. But the only way you can end that question is if you go finish off sacks, right? But at the same time, you can't let that get in the way of you executing your job and jumping off sides, right? You can't let that be a factor on the reason that you don't do the job the right way. It's got to be done the right way. Technique and opportunities got to meet to make those plays. What is that little giggle about over
Well,
there?
because I said I didn't have a stat, now I have a stat. I don't want to get too far out of Tampa Bay, but coming into this week, they had the highest percentage of touchdowns per drive when not being sacked at 40%. They do not have a score yet this year when being sacked on a drive, a touchdown.
They don't have a score yet
They
when
don't
being
have a
sacked.
touchdown on a drive where they have been sacked.
So you're telling me I got them right where I want them?
Because I just remember when I was looking it up last week going into the Seattle game and their
Oh, yeah.
numbers and where it was, but I get the point of, pressure and everything else, and it all matters. I'm not saying.
No doubt.
But the guy on the ground and the loss of yardage is monumental when it comes
Huge.
to making a difference.
No doubt. We got to get the quarterback on the ground. But the only thing you can do as a coach is get better every single week. And you feel the small incremental steps. And as painful they are, you like to do them while winning. And yesterday we didn't get the win. So that allows you to get up here and absolutely just pour it on. And you're right. Got to sack them.
On the rest issue, the last 3 weeks, you had a rest advantage, then you had a disadvantage against Seattle. They were on 10 days. Now you're going to get a rest advantage against Tampa Bay. How much does that factor into what you do as coaches, if at all?
National Football League, man. That's like the chess game that we all play, right? It's like you come off a short week, the games you can win off buys, the games you record off of Thursday night football. Who prepares the best is definitely the chess game of the National Football League, and that's certainly a part of the head coaches, performance teams across the world, and that's the fun part. That's definitely the fun part, preparing your football team to go out there and be the best version of themselves. And yesterday, that's why I told you guys we came out flat. When I say that, I'm talking to myself, right? I didn't prepare them well enough to come out the right way.
Raheem, I know coaches are different on this, but Tampa in just a short period of time, almost back to back. Is there an advantage to that, disadvantage, or does it just kind of play out for both teams the same?
Would it be in Tampa? There you go. Would it be in Tampa? You know each other so well. I think it's almost an advantage for them on a short week, because it's okay, it evens it out a little bit, so to speak. But, again, it's football, and it's like the National Football League schedule. It's why we all love it. It's why we got a program dedicated to the scheduling week and what we do and all of the stuff. So it's fun. It's enjoyable, and I can't wait to get back out and get get a chance to go play again. I know our guys can't either.
I want to ask you a little bit about Kyle. 7 receptions. I know stats are for losers, but is he where you guys want him to be right now, as far as being one of the main targets for Kirk?
It's hard to say that. It's such a result-driven business, but it's hard to say that anybody is where we want to be right now. You want to be the Chiefs. You want to be undefeated, right? Do we like our positioning? Yes. We're in prime position to do the things that we wanted to do, that we talked about, that we've spoken about. Would you have liked to win yesterday? Yes. But you know what? You better learn that lesson from that loss. And I think that's important for all of us, no different than what Kyle's doing, right? He had a little bit more success in the last couple of weeks, and I think he still has to continue to get better with the growth mindset of what we need to get better and what he needs to do better in order for that to be even bigger, or in order for his partners to be better, in order for us to have more success as an offense, as a team in general.
And what are those things you think he needs to do better?
Obviously with Cal is like for us, everything we talked about yesterday, like the detail in every play that we go out there and we do, right? I do love the fact that he's given us a serious uptick in blocking. So he's doing a serious different job in that stuff, right? It's been great. I love the fact that he's catching the ball and he's getting vertical. I love the fact that he's gotten more targets, the last couple of weeks. So all of those things can improve, but all of us from a standpoint of detail and what we want to do moving forward in order to be able to come out and take over games, which I think we're capable of doing with the guys that we have.
And the reason why I ask is just that, right? If you have those guys all working together and clicking.
No doubt.
Stats are for losers, but if all those guys are in rhythm, that's a pretty difficult offense to contend with.
Yeah, that stat would be pretty good.
That'll be the double.
I join in your stat parade with that one.
I have a non-stats question for you.
Yes.
Have you contributed to the quarterback room's list of conspiracy theories?
I don't. Some places you got to give them their own space, right? And the quarterback room is one of them. He knows. I rarely go in there to bother them. If I do go in there, something important, some detailed stuff I want to talk to them about. But when they're having their fun, I got to give them their space. They need a place to talk bad about me, and I give.
Have you seen the list?
I've seen the list.
What do you think of it?
That's up to the quarterback. I leave them alone. They got their things on the board.
Have you asked PJ what's
No,
going on?
I stay out of that.
Raheem, you guys are among the top teams in rushes against light boxes. Is that, I know you guys were in LA kind of as well, is that taking advantage of an opportunity when a light box is presented to you, or is that more a byproduct of the passing game opening up that space for your run game?
I think it's credit to Mooney and Ray and Kyle and Drake and those guys and Kurt being able to throw the ball down the field, and you get lighter boxes because the guys are doing better, and when you get heavier boxes, open up for them. So I think that's called playing together and complementary football within the same structure of the offense, and I love that. That's that.
So we talk about the run game opening up the pass, but the opposite can be true as well.
100%. I gave Cal Shanahan when he was here. He said, came into the run meeting and said, I'll tell you how we're going to run the ball. And I was like, popped in, got your notes. And he said, we're going to throw it. What? It's like, there's some truth to that. You come out and you can throw it, certainly be able to run it a little better.
When you think back to last week in practice, did the energy match what you wanted, or do you think back now and see it as a little flat?
No. If I'd have saw it a little flat in practice, I would have told him. That wasn't the case. I'm never that coach to say, I think we're a little flat in practice. No, I usually address those issues right on head. They just was a little flat when we came out with execution. Every week we've gone out here with our how we practiced and prepared. It's been something that you can hold your hat on and say, hey, we can get these things done. We can execute and go out there and win this football game. So for me to tell you that I saw something in practice and didn't address it it's not my style, Terry.
Coach, Winfield's back. What does that present add to their defense? He didn't play in the last meeting.
Problems. A ball hawk, a guy you always got to be aware of. Makes plays all over the field. I still dream about his daddy making plays on it, so he's just as much as a problem. Rondé Barber and Winfield created a nickel position. Just unbelievable players, and his son has got all those instincts and attributes in him at the safety position, and he's a fun player to watch unless you're playing him.
And you get to see him tonight, but last time out they did have a rushing attack in the form of undrafted rookie from Syracuse.
They did. He's gone on to have a couple of really good games after that. They got a three-headed monster right now. Bucky and all those guys doing some really good things, and this guy's added to it. I think he was the guy that ran back the kickoff on us last week, and the last time we played him, and he was pretty productive there as well. And I think that kind of lifted it into getting more reps. People earn their roles on special teams, and he certainly did that.
You watch tonight at all?
Am I going to watch tonight? Oh yeah, 100%. I still like football.
I know. Some coaches, every game takes on its own life.
No, it's a little different when you plan them. It's a little different when you plan them.
Right.
Being the latest game, you never know what you can get.
And did Damon Harris flash at times? He looked like he got around the quarterback. Well, one time you probably didn't want him on the quarterback.
No, you wanted him there. You just didn't want him to get bumped into by his own teammate and hit the quarterback's legs. But, for him to be around the quarterback, him setting edges, he had the one with he forced the intentional grounding when he's holding on to him. He did a lot of really good things, and I was really proud of him, how he was able to show up and and play for his team. When we talked about it, like I told you guys when practice squad, we made the practice squad, these guys are extensions of our roster, and it's showing every single week.
Well, in general, I'll focus on the defense with the sack things, and I want to hyper-focus on getting to the ground, but, you got a 7-game sample size. At this point, how do you know schematically what's working and what's not? Like, and can you and would you, I don't want to say make a dramatic change to the scheme, but obviously you're tweaking each week, but if you're not getting results at this point, obviously something has to go different, otherwise you're banging your head against the wall, right?
You do, and you've made dramatic changes, even from the first game to now. You make those changes subtly. It's never going to be anything where it's like, hey, you all of a sudden look like Brian Flores this week. It won't be that dramatic, but you'll have things that you do add in and do different things. And sometimes you get burnt on those things, and sometimes they work. And it's like, hey, but you got to continue to grow and continue to develop. And I think it's a fine line of adding to the scheme, doing different things, doing what best fits your guys, finding ways to get to the quarterback. And we got to find our happy spot. And right now, we haven't found it.
Curiosity, do you get involved in the game itself as a defensive guy, saying, just as simple as I want you to bring the house, like in certain spots where I need a blitz here, I want a blitz here. I mean, do you let Jimmy just kind of handle that on his own?
I don't go emotional with it, but there's certainly spots and areas that you got to talk about where we got to be more aggressive. And, those spots came up yesterday, having to be more aggressive, needing the ball back quicker, when you had to get more possessions and dictate the terms of how you want to play the game, even at the end. The same thing, no different than what you do on offense and what you're able to do on special teams when you're talking about whether you're going to let them run it out, you're going to kick it to them, you're going to kick touchbacks, all of those different things. All of those different decisions going on all sides of the ball, all phases, when you're talking to your guys that are responsible to make those calls, to go out to the people that's got to go get them executed.
Yeah, just again on the DK touchdown, look, Simmons said it was miscommunications.
Sure.
Didn't talk to AJ, but he was running with him, and he lets him go to the middle. And then Jesse comes over, so I didn't know.
Jesse was the backside safety,
Yeah,
playing visual.
Right.
And he's just being a baller,
Okay.
being visual. The front side play was AJ and Simmons,
Looked like they hit you in the hole
and
there.
we got two guys outside. We should have one inside, one outside.
Raheem, is there enough data now on these kickoff returns? You went into it there a little bit, where you got it kind of, is there some consistency in what teams are trying to do, or is it still kind of a developmental phase in this thing?
You want to kick it as far as back there as you can, make them catch it on the one, and run it out every time. And then you got a chance to do like we did in that first kickoff with us going down there and knifing them down and getting them on the ground, which I thought was really well done. But then you don't want to get past the 30, which happened a little bit later on us. So it's like you make decisions when you want to do that. And like we were in a game yesterday, you want to make those guys particularly go to long field as much as you can because how explosive their offense is.
You like that there's more strategy in that?
I do.
Than what it used to be, just kick it out of the end zone?
Yeah, I'm kind of one of those guys. I'm not complaining about it regardless what the rule is, but it's like for me, it's like, hey, definitely adds into what we wanted, right? Yeah. More kickoffs, more exciting plays. It's not the exciting plays that was the fans want. The fans want to run backs, touchdowns, but for us, it's still more exciting because you get a chance to pin them back instead of giving the ball in the 30 every time.
What was the diagnosis on Youngway's miss there in the first half?
I am not. I'm not going to go into the Youngway kudos. He did not make that thing. He struck it right. He just had his aim wrong. I won't sit here and act like I'm the expert of Youngway coup when it comes to some of those things. Man, he definitely hit it. He hit it good. He missed it. That all those factors factor into what we talked about. It's not starting the right way. He very rarely misses those ones, and he missed that one. Yeah, hey, at the end of the day, for us, that's what it is. I'm not gonna get out there. I won't be coaching Youngway Koo how to strike the ball this week. I can promise you that.
Coach, when you can, in a game, maybe when you sense your team is come out flat a little bit, are there any levers that you as a head coach can pull at some point to say, hey, let's get this back on track, or is the hay in the barn at that point and it's more about trusting the plan that you guys have put in place and staying the course?
Really what it is really the guys, right? So really it's Drake. If Drake makes a play, if Kurt makes that pass that we talked about could have been a touchdown, that changes it, right? We didn't yesterday. If Jesse Bates picks up a ball or punches a ball out like he has in those situations where you have lulls, it changes it. We didn't make that play in a timely enough fashion to make that game the way it needed to be. It's really the guys, right? You can give – I can sit here and tell you I gave some Vince Lombardi speech on the sideline and woke us all up. I'm not going to do that to you. It's really the guys. Really the guys going out there and deciding to make a play or making a play. within the framework of what we're trying to do with technique and opportunity meeting.
All right, thanks, y'all.
Okay, guys.
See you.